Hey guys, welcome back and welcome to my new series that I'm naming "All You Need to Know About Modifiers." Right. So by the end of this series, you guys should have a good understanding about what are modifiers, why do we use them, and like what are the different type of modifiers, and when do we actually need to use modifiers. Right. So this is gonna be a long series with each video dedicated to each type of modifier in there. So yeah, I really hope that this turns out to be a useful series for you guys and hope you guys like it. If you do, please let me know down in the comment section, and yeah, don't forget to drop that like, subscribe, all that good stuff, right? So all right, then without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so before we start, full disclosure that this video is mainly going to be more on the theoretical part and not practical, right? Because I want to give the people who have like used modifiers minimal at least get a good understanding about what modifiers are and why they would want to go ahead and utilize that, right? So if you already know about it, you can skip this video and go directly to the other videos that will be there in this playlist. But yeah, for those beginners who really don't know anything about modifiers, this should be a good introduction, right? Okay, so let me start with where you can actually locate modifiers in Blender. So this wrench icon that you see over here, it is called as modifiers properties, right? So this is where all the modifiers are located. Now, what are modifiers? So modifiers are additional tools that are made available to you guys by Blender. Now, what Blender does is that there are already pre-designed algorithms in there that can help you do work which will usually take a very long time if you're actually doing it manually, right? Like for example, the easiest example that I can give you is let's say a mirror modifier, right? So if I go ahead and add a mirror modifier on this object, and then I let's say sorry yeah let's say I make an edit here, right? So the edit that I've made here, sorry, wrong section. Yeah, the edit I have made here, it automatically mirrors it out to the opposite section of it, right? Now if I try to go ahead and do it manually, since it's a small object right now, it's not a big deal, but let's assume that you made a lot of edits, right? And now you just want to make sure that everything is automatically updated, but you can't go ahead and do that. If you want to do it, you would have to go back and manually edit each side of it, which is really time consuming. And this modifier just gives you the ability to automatically copy your changes from one side to another, right? You can just define your axes here, you can define what you want to mirror and etc. So it automatically goes ahead and does that or makes that change for you, and it makes your life a lot easier, right? So we are going to go in depth about each and every modifier. Like for example, we've got this array modifier that can duplicate uh, the objects that you have. That there is a lot of interesting things that you can actually do with it. uh, so yeah, that's basically a quick introduction about what modifiers are, right? And why do we use them? Well, I already covered that, I guess. It's to make your life easier, right? So basically, it if you are going to go ahead and actually start doing 3D modeling, it's a really time consuming process. So anything that can save time for you is something it's not less than a gift, right? So it's just basically something that makes your process of creating those models or creating those concepts easier. And that's the whole purpose of modifiers. Like there are different types of modifiers, so that brings us to our next topic, right? What are the different types of modifiers? So basically we've got four major types here. The first one's the modifiers. Now this is, I have never used them, but basically this should be something related to changing the data inside modifier, like inside the object, right? Like basically modifying the information in the object. So that's what these modifiers are related to. And then there is a generate modifier. Now generate modifier, what it does is that it's basically creates geometry. So any modifier that you see over here, it's going to create its own geometry to make sure that you are getting your desired results, right? Like for example, even if you add subdivision surface modifier, it creates let's see, it creates these extra faces just to make sure that it is uh, what do you say, it is giving you the desired result, right? What it's designed to do. So basically the role of all the modifiers that you see in this section is to create geometry, to deform it the way that you would want your object to look like, right? And each of these has a different role, and we're going to go in depth with each of these. Now the ones that I'm going to cover in this series are mainly going to be the generate modifiers and a few from the deform modifiers, right? Now, what are deform modifiers? So, deform modifiers are something that is going to change the structure of your geometry. So, it doesn't add any new geometry, but it's just going to displace or uh, change the way it looks in a systematic way or in a non-destructible way, you can say. Um, Let me explain non-destructible as well. So, basically, when you add let's say add a displace modifier here, right? Now, if you go ahead and displace your geometry it's happening over here, right? If you actually go ahead and do this manually, you won't be able to come back out of it. So let me subdivide it a little bit so that you can see the change. Yeah. So if you are supposed to do this entire thing yourself, this is just gonna take way too long. And the downside of it is that once you have done it, sometimes you might not know how to come back to your original state, right? But the beauty of the modifier is that it's non-destructible. So if you remove this modifier, you can come back to your original state, right? So you don't lose any of your progress, but still you can achieve a lot of interesting results just by using them. So that's the main purpose of this deform modifier. Now the physics modifier is it's actually should not be here because there is a separate tab for it already. That's a physics tab, right? What it does is it basically adds different kind of physics to your geometry. So what I mean by that is that it can convert this entire thing into a cloth, into some kind of smoke. It can convert it into a force field, or I don't know, a rigid body. A rigid body is basically something that collides with the other particle, right, or the other object that you have. So I've used it in one of my previous videos. I'll link it up there, and yeah, you can take a look at that, how rigid body works. But yeah, that's basically primarily what this does. Ocean modifier is something that actually literally creates an ocean in your scene in Blender, right? So there's a lot of interesting stuff here. There's a particle system, there's a separate tab for it as well. Particle system is again, it creates different particles. So we are not going to go through these because it doesn't make sense, and it's probably require a separate series for it altogether. So but there are a lot of interesting stuffs in these, right? So you might want to go ahead and check it out and review them. But yeah, that's basically on that's basically the overview on you can say what are the different type of modifiers that are available, right? Now we get to the most important part as to how to use these. Now there is going to be a video for each of these generate modifiers, which will go in depth with all the options that are available in those modifiers, which will just give you a good idea about how to use them. So please look forward to those. And for as far as this video goes, I don't think I have any other information that I can add which will make value. If you think that that there is something that I missed, please let me know down in the comment section, and I can probably cover it in one of my following videos, right? But I guess that's about it for this one. And thank you so much for hanging out so far, and I'll see you guys in the next video.